Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into something that, let's be honest, affects every single one of us. How to use money, not just to live, but to live well. We're going to be digging into some key ideas from Morgan Housel's work, The Art of Spending Money, to really understand how our choices can lead to a much richer life. All right, to get started, let me tell you this fascinating and kind of heartbreaking story. There's a woman who gets LASIK eye surgery, right? Something she's wanted for years. The surgery goes perfectly, her vision is flawless. But instead of being thrilled, she's miserable. So why? Well, it turns out she had this deep-seated belief that perfect vision would somehow magically make her husband find her more attractive or make her colleagues see her as more intelligent. When it didn't, she was absolutely crushed. In this story, it's the perfect setup for a psychological trap we all face, especially when it comes to money. We chase the things we want, a bigger salary, a new car, the perfect house, because we believe they're the direct path to the things we truly need, things like love, admiration, and respect. But as we're about to see, that connection, it's often just an illusion. And that right there leads us perfectly into our first big idea, the powerful and often invisible trap of spending for status. It's one of the main ways we completely misuse money and just end up feeling unfulfilled. So the author, Morgan Housel, tells this amazing story from back when he was a valet. He overhears a guy proudly telling his friend that he just dropped $21,000 on an armchair. And when he sees the shocked looks on the valet's faces, he says this is what you're supposed to do. Wow. Those words, they're so revealing, aren't they? And it really makes you stop and ask a critical question, not just about this guy, but about ourselves. How much of our spending is actually driven by what we genuinely want versus how much of it is just us playing a role, buying things because we think that's what a successful person is supposed to own. It's like a performance, and the ticket price can be our financial and emotional well-being. Okay, so if it's not really about the stuff, what is it about? What are we actually after when we spend all this money? Let's peel back the layers here. This slide, I think, is just fascinating. It perfectly lays out this disconnect between our material wants and our deep human needs. We think we want the fancy watch, but what we're really craving is love. We think we want the bigger house, but what we're actually desperate for is the admiration of our peers. The physical object is just the ticket we think we need to buy to get the feeling we're chasing. And this is where it gets really good. Housel calls this kind of spending the junk food of respect. What a perfect metaphor, right? Just like junk food, it's easy, it's tempting, and it gives you that quick hit of satisfaction. But in the long run, it just leaves you feeling empty and unhealthy because it's a terrible substitute for the real thing, genuine, earned respect. So what's the antidote here? Well, the key takeaway is that the most effective way to escape the status trap is to build your self-worth on things like your character, your kindness, your sense of humor, your intelligence. When you're respected for who you are, the need to broadcast your worth through what you own just starts to fade away. All right, let's keep going. This next idea, it's a completely different way of thinking about what it even means to be wealthy. Honestly, this is a total game changer. Here it is, super simple. Wealth equals what you have minus what you want. Now, forget your net worth for just a second. Think about this. You can become wealthier by increasing what you have, which is hard, or you can become wealthier by decreasing what you want, which is completely under your control. And this chart, man, this just says it all. It shows how that desire, that craving for something, is at its absolute peak right before you get it. The anticipation is often way more powerful than actually owning the thing. Once you have it, its value to you drops, until you lose it, and then suddenly, you want it again. It's a cycle that keeps us on a hamster wheel, always chasing the next thing. And this personal story really brings that whole equation to life. His grandmother-in-law, by any financial measure, was poor, but because her wants were so small, the gap between what she had and what she wanted was tiny. So in her mind, she was one of the wealthiest people on earth, just full of a contentment that billionaires spend their whole lives trying to find. Which all boils down to this really powerful piece of, almost stoic wisdom. Mastering your desires, getting to a point where you don't need more to be happy. That is a form of wealth that no amount of money can ever buy. It's the ultimate financial superpower. Okay, so if we're not supposed to be buying stuff just to impress people, then what should we be doing with our money? What's the real goal here? This is such a brilliant way to reframe what savings even is. We always think of it as passive, right? Money just sitting there. But he's saying, no, that's not it at all. Every single dollar you save is a dollar you have actively spent on buying the most valuable thing in the world, control over your own time. You're literally purchasing freedom.
And the great thing is, this idea of independence, it's not some crazy all-or-nothing goal. It's a spectrum. It starts small, like having enough saved up to fix a flat tire. Then you build to a point where you just don't feel that pressure to impress others anymore. Every step you take up this ladder gives you more control, more options, and a lot less stress. You are literally buying a better life, $1 of savings at a time.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. With all this in mind, how do we actually do this? How do we practice this art of spending and build a happier life while avoiding all the traps that make so many people miserable? You know, sometimes the best way to figure out how to be happy is to look at what makes people miserable. And this list, it's basically a roadmap for that. It starts with the status trap, of course, chasing status at the cost of your freedom, but it goes deeper. It's about comparing your messy, real, behind-the-scenes life with the perfect highlight reel everyone else posts online. It's about anchoring your expectations to the absolute most successful person you know, which guarantees you'll always feel like you're falling behind. It's assuming a bigger paycheck will magically fix problems that have nothing to do with money. And finally, it's just wildly overestimating how much other people even notice or care about your nice stuff. Following this list is the fastest way to make money a source of anxiety instead of joy.
And that really brings us to the core idea, the big takeaway here. Money is an incredible tool. It can amplify your values, it can buy you freedom, it can help you build the life you really want. But the second it stops being a tool and becomes the goal itself, the second your identity gets tangled up in your net worth, that's the moment you lose.
So we'll leave you with this one question to really think about. Take a good, hard look at your financial life. Are you in control, using your money to build a life filled with meaning and independence, or has the chase for it taken control of you? The answer to that question, really, is the true art of spending money.